I built my tech company from a one-bedroom apartment 5 years ago. While I was coding late into the night and surviving on instant ramen, my family thought I was unemployed. They had no idea the company they bragged about working for was mine. The irony was almost poetic. They mocked me at family dinners, questioned my choices, and suggested I get a real job. What they did not know was that I had the power to make one decision that would change everything. Before we dive into how everything unfolded, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from, and please hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. Sometimes the people who judge you the loudest are the ones who know the least about your journey. Trust me, this story proves that in ways I never expected. Let me take you back to where it all began. 5 years ago, I was 27 years old and working at a large marketing firm in downtown Chicago. The job was stable, the pay was decent, but something inside me felt hollow. Every morning I would sit in my cubicle staring at spreadsheets feeling like I was built for something more. I had this idea brewing in my head for months. A marketing automation platform that could help small businesses compete with larger companies without breaking the bank. The concept kept me awake at night, filling notebooks with sketches and plans. One Tuesday afternoon I walked into my manager's office and gave my 2 weeks' notice. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. "Where are you going?" he asked. "I am starting my own thing," I told him. He wished me luck with a tone that suggested I would be back begging for my job within 6 months. That doubt, that dismissive tone, it fueled something in me. The first 2 years were brutal in ways I cannot fully describe. I moved from my decent apartment to a tiny one-bedroom place where the heater barely worked in winter. My furniture consisted of a mattress on the floor, a folding table I used as a desk, and a chair I found on the sidewalk. I taught myself to code by watching free tutorials at 2 in the morning. I learned design principles from library books. I cold called potential clients during the day and built the product at night. Money was so tight that I lived on a rotation of peanut butter sandwiches, eggs, and whatever was on sale at the discount grocery store. I canceled my gym membership, stopped going out with friends, and wore the same 5 outfits for months. But I was not miserable. I was driven. Every line of code I wrote, every feature I built, it felt like I was constructing my future with my own hands. I made a conscious decision early on to keep my family in the dark about the specifics. My parents, hardworking people who spent 30 years in factory jobs before retiring, they valued stability above all else. They sacrificed so much to give me and my sister Kate a good education. The thought of telling them I quit a stable job to chase what they would see as a fantasy, it felt cruel. So I told them I was doing freelance work. Technically true, since I was my own client. My cousin Brandon and my brother-in-law Devon, they were different stories. Brandon always had this competitive streak. Growing up, he had to be the best at everything. The highest grades, the most popular, the guy with the coolest car. He worked in sales at a pharmaceutical company and never missed an opportunity to talk about his commissions. Devon, who married my sister 3 years ago, he was cut from similar cloth. Always name-dropping. Always talking about his important meetings and big projects. At family gatherings, the two of them would dominate conversations with work talk, and I would sit quietly deflecting questions about my career with vague answers. The breakthrough came in year 3. After countless rejections and failed pitches, I finally landed a client who saw the vision. A small startup in Austin took a chance on my platform. They grew, and they told their friends. Word spread slowly at first, then faster. By year 4, I signed contracts with 2 Fortune 500 companies. I hired my first employees, talented people who believed in what we were building. I moved into a small office space. I named the company TechBridge Solutions. Now 5 years in, we have 150 employees spread across 3 floors in a building downtown. Our annual revenue is in the millions. We work with some of the biggest brands in America. But here is the thing, I never changed my lifestyle dramatically. I still drive a 7-year-old Honda. I live in a nice but modest apartment. I work from home most days and only go into the office for important meetings. The executive team knows me, but many of the regular employees have never seen me in person. I prefer it that way. I built this company on substance, not ego. My relationship with my family remained complicated. Brandon continued to flaunt his success. Kate, who worked as an accountant at a mid-sized firm, she developed this habit of giving me unsolicited advice about financial planning and career stability. She meant well, I think, but it always felt patronizing. Devon would nod along, adding his own commentary about how I needed to think about my future. My parents would sit quietly during these exchanges, their faces showing concern they tried to hide. I could see they worried about me, and that hurt more than any sarcastic comment from Brandon. Everything shifted 1 month ago at a Saturday afternoon barbecue at my parents' house. The weather was perfect, mid-70s with a light breeze. My dad was manning the grill, flipping burgers and hot dogs. My mom had set up tables in the backyard with her famous potato salad and coleslaw. The atmosphere started out pleasant, almost nostalgic. Then Brandon arrived, and I could immediately tell something was different about his energy. He walked into the backyard with this enormous grin, the kind that said he was bursting to share news. Within 5 minutes of arriving, he gathered everyone's attention. "So I have some pretty exciting news," he announced, his voice carrying across the yard. "I just got hired at this incredible tech company downtown. Fast-growing, amazing culture, unbelievable benefits package." He went on for 10 minutes, describing the office perks, the free lunch, the modern workspace, the innovative projects. He never mentioned the company name specifically, just kept saying this amazing tech company. Then Kate chimed in. "Funny you should mention that, because Devon and I just started there too. 3 weeks ago, actually. I am in their finance department, and Devon is doing project management." The three of them launched into this synchronized praise of their new employer. The opportunities for growth, the collaborative environment, the forward-thinking leadership. I stood there holding a plate of potato salad, and something about their descriptions started sounding familiar, very familiar. The location they mentioned, downtown in our city. The size, around 150 employees. The industry focus, marketing technology. The culture they described, emphasis on innovation and respect. My stomach started to twist. But I told myself it was probably a coincidence. There are lots of tech companies in our city. It could be anywhere. Then Brandon turned to me. The shift in his expression was subtle but unmistakable. That competitive gleam I had seen my whole life came into his eyes. "So, Isaac, what about you? Still doing that freelance thing?" His tone was light, but there was an edge underneath. The kind of edge that cuts without seeming to. I set my plate down on the picnic table. "I am running my own business, actually. It is going well. We have been growing steadily." Brandon laughed, but it was not a genuine laugh. It was the kind that dismisses. "Oh, right, the business. How is that working out? Are you making any real money, or is it still just a hobby?" Kate jumped in before I could respond. "Isaac, seriously, you need to think about stability. Freelancing is fine when you are young, but you cannot do it forever. You need benefits, retirement plans, a real structure." Devon nodded enthusiastically. "You know what you should apply to our company. They are always hiring talented people. I could put in a word for you. Get your resume to the right people." I tried to explain. "The business is doing well. We have employees, steady clients, consistent revenue." But my words seemed to bounce off them. They were not listening. They had already decided what my reality was. Brandon leaned back in his lawn chair, his posture screaming confidence. "Everyone says their startup is doing great, man. But where is the proof? Where is the office? Where is the team? It is easy to call yourself a business owner when you are just doing gig work from your apartment." Kate's face showed what she probably thought was compassion. "Mom and Dad are worried about you. We all are. We just want to see you settled. You are smart, Isaac. You could do well in a real corporate environment." I glanced at my parents. My mom was looking at her hands. My dad was focused intently on the grill, flipping the same burger 3 times. They were not defending me, but they were not piling on either. They were just worried, and that somehow hurt more than Brandon's mockery. I made a decision in that moment. I could tell them the truth. Right there, pull out my phone, and show them the company website with my name, listed as founder and CEO. But something stopped me. Maybe it was pride, or maybe it was the realization that revealing the truth in the middle of their celebration would just create drama. So I swallowed my frustration, forced a smile, and said I would think about it. The rest of the barbecue passed in a blur. I left early, making an excuse about having work to catch up on. On the drive home, my hands were tight on the steering wheel. When I got back to my apartment, I went straight to my laptop. I opened our company HR system and pulled up the recent hires list. My heart was already sinking before I saw the names. There they were. Brandon Harris, Sales Department, start date 3 weeks ago. Kate Morrison, Finance Department, same start date. Devon Morrison, Project Management, same start date. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. They worked for me. They worked for my company, and they had spent the afternoon mocking me for not having a real job. But in the back of my mind, a small voice whispered that things were probably going to get worse before they got better. That small voice was right. Over the next 2 weeks, the family group chat became insufferable. Brandon started posting photos almost daily. Desk shot with a caption about crushing his sales goals. Coffee in the break room with a comment about loving the company culture. A selfie with his team with hashtags about amazing coworkers. Every single post felt like a performance designed to highlight his success. Kate joined in with posts about how grateful she was for comprehensive health insurance and a matching retirement plan. Devon shared updates about leading a major initiative using corporate buzzwords that probably sounded impressive to people outside the industry. And after each of their posts, like clockwork, someone would ask about me. So Isaac, how is freelancing going? Have you thought about getting a stable job? Maybe you should ask Brandon for help. The extended family started piling on. My Aunt Carol sent me a private message suggesting I needed to be more ambitious like Brandon. My Uncle Tom called to ask if I needed money, his voice full of pity that made my skin crawl. Even my younger cousin, who was still in college, sent me a link to an article about the gig economy with a message saying this is why you need to plan better. My mom started calling more frequently. The conversations always circled back to the same theme. Honey, I ran into Brandon's mother at the grocery store. She was telling me about his new job. It sounds wonderful. Do you think you could apply there? They are hiring? Or I was talking to Kate, and she said they have openings in different departments. You have so many skills, Isaac. You could get in somewhere. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her that I did not need to apply because I owned the place. But something held me back. Maybe I was waiting for them to figure it out on their own. Maybe I was testing how long I could endure being underestimated. Or maybe I was just tired of defending myself. Then 3 weeks after they started, I received an email that changed everything. The subject line read, "Concerns about new hires. Need your guidance." It was from Linda Chen, our HR director. I have worked with Linda for 2 years. She is thorough professional and does not raise alarms unless something is seriously wrong. I opened the email and started reading. Isaac, I hate to bother you with personnel issues, but we have a situation that needs your attention. 3 of our recent hires are exhibiting behavior that is concerning multiple team members and affecting company morale. I have documented everything, and I think you need to see it before we proceed with any action. My stomach dropped. I did not need to read further to know who she was talking about, but I read every word anyway. Regarding Brandon Harris in sales, Linda wrote that he had been late to work 10 out of the 15 days he had been employed. Not dramatically late, but consistently 10 to 15 minutes. When his manager addressed it, Brandon brushed it off, saying he was not a morning person, and his results would speak for themselves. Beyond punctuality, there were complaints about his attitude in team meetings. He interrupted colleagues, dismissed their ideas, and spoke over people. The breaking point came when he publicly berated an intern named Stephanie for sending an email with a minor formatting error. He raised his voice in the middle of the office, calling her careless, and questioning whether she was cut out for professional work. Stephanie left the office in tears. Multiple people witnessed it and felt uncomfortable. The section about Kate was equally troubling. As someone working in finance with access to expense approvals, she had started wielding that power in petty ways. She rejected reasonable expense requests with vague explanations, forcing people to resubmit paperwork multiple times for no clear reason. She created additional bureaucratic steps that were not part of the standard process. Her team members reported that she gossiped about other departments, creating unnecessary drama. One colleague described her as having an "I am better than everyone" attitude that poisoned interactions. Devon's issues were different but just as problematic. He consistently missed project deadlines, and when questioned, he blamed his team members. He refused to take responsibility for his own work. In one project meeting, he threw a junior developer under the bus for a delay that was actually caused by Devon's failure to provide timely specifications. His team was becoming demoralized, and 2 people had privately asked to be transferred to different projects. Linda's email concluded, "I know you usually trust me to handle personnel matters, but this is affecting multiple teams and our culture. Several employees have expressed that if this behavior continues, they may start looking elsewhere. What would you like me to do?" I read the email 3 times. Each time my anger grew, but it was a cold, calculated anger. Not the hot rage that makes you act impulsively, but the kind that clarifies everything. I spent the next hour reading through the attached documentation, screenshots of messages, formal complaints, witness statements. One email from Stephanie the intern Brandon yelled at made my hands shake. I do not know if I can keep working here. I thought this would be a supportive place to learn, but Brandon made me feel worthless. I am only 21 and I am questioning whether I belong in this industry.